At 18,000 feet, the sky doesn't care about bravery, rank, or promises made back home. It only cares about speed, angles, and who sees who first. On that cold morning, two American pilots flew wingtip to wingtip, locked in a bond forged by sweat, bad jokes, and combat trust. Then, in less than a second, one of them vanished in a white-orange flash. No warning, no goodbye, just fire where a friend used to be. This is not just a dogfight story. This is about revenge, survival, and the moment a man realizes the sky has taken something it will never give back. They called themselves a squadron, but in truth, they were family held together by jet fuel, caffeine, and nerves stretched thin. The base sat in a dusty corner of the world where mornings smelled like metal and burnt coffee, and nights were filled with distant thunder that wasn't weather. Captain Jake Rook Halvorsen had flown with his wingman, Lieutenant Mark Echo Rivera, for nearly a year. They weren't just assigned together, they chose each other. Same rhythm, same instincts, same unspoken understanding in the air. Briefings were short and sharp that day. Hostile fighters reported near the corridor, mission priority high, rules of engagement clear but unforgiving. Jake noticed Echo tapping his knee, a bad habit that showed up before every real fight. He cracked a joke over the intercom, something dumb about owing Echo a beer if they made it back. Echo laughed, called him cheap, said he'd collect. Engines screamed as they launched, steel birds ripping into the sky, leaving the world shrinking beneath them. At altitude, the air went quiet except for breathing and radio chatter. The sun sat low, reflecting off the canopy like a blade. AWACS called out contacts, fast movers, closing hard. Jake felt that familiar click in his head, the switch from human to hunter. Training took over, muscle memory steadying his hands. "Stay tight," he told Echo. "I got you." Echo replied, calm and solid, "Always." They split into formation, scanning the blue emptiness ahead. In that moment, everything still felt controllable, like a problem that could be solved with skill and timing. None of them knew the sky was about to collect its due, or that the word always was about to break apart at Mach speed. The squadron pushed forward, unaware that history was lining up its shot. The first enemy jet appeared like a ghost. There 1 second, gone the next, then reappeared off Jake's left, diving hard. Radios lit up with calls, warnings stacking on top of each other. Missiles were armed, countermeasures primed. Jake rolled his aircraft, pulling GS that crushed his chest, vision tunneling as he tracked the target. Echo stayed glued to his wing, exactly where he was supposed to be. The sky turned into chaos, contrails slicing like scars, radar tones screaming, the sun flashing in and out of view. Jake locked one hostile and fired. The missile streaked forward, clean and true, detonating in a bloom of fire that felt almost unreal. No time to celebrate. Another bandit slipped through, fast and aggressive. Jake shouted a warning, but the words barely left his mouth before the world cracked open. A missile slammed into Echo's jet from below. There was no heroic spin, no slow fall, just an explosion so violent it punched the air itself. 1 second Echo was there, voice, presence, life, and the next there was debris, smoke, and a silence that screamed louder than any alarm. Jake froze for a heartbeat, staring at the empty space where his wingman should have been. Training screamed at him to move, to survive, but his gut twisted like it had been ripped out. Echo's down. Someone called over the radio, voice shaking. Jake felt heat behind his eyes, rage flooding in fast and ugly. This wasn't abstract anymore. This wasn't strategy or politics. This was personal. He slammed the throttle, breaking formation, ignoring calls to regroup. The sky felt smaller now, tighter, like it was closing in on him. Every hostile contact became a target with a face. He remembered Echo's laugh, his dumb music choices, the way he said always, like it was unbreakable. The squadron was still fighting, but for Jake, the mission had changed. The sky had taken his brother, and he wasn't about to let it get away clean. Jake hunted like a man possessed. He cut through the fight, reading movements before they finished, anticipating turns, pushing his jet to the edge of what it could handle. Warnings blared, fuel low, heat high, but he shut them out. One enemy jet tried to run. Jake chased, locking on, squeezing the trigger. The kill was fast, efficient, almost cold. Another hostile turned to engage him head-on, guns blazing. Tracers ripped past his canopy, close enough to feel like fingertips of death. Jake rolled, dove, and came up on the bandit's 6, firing until the sky lit up again. 2 down. The radio crackled with commands to disengage, to pull back before they lost more pilots. Jake didn't answer right away. His breathing was ragged, chest tight, hands shaking despite years of discipline. He wanted more. He wanted blood to balance the scales, even though some part of him knew there was no such thing. Finally, his fuel gauge forced the issue. With a curse, he turned back toward friendly airspace, leaving behind smoke and wreckage. The flight home felt longer than the fight. The cockpit that once felt like armor now felt like a coffin full of memories. When he landed, the ground crew guided him in silence. No cheers, no relief, just eyes that already knew. Jake climbed down the ladder, legs weak, helmet heavy in his hands. The squadron gathered in the hangar later, faces pale, voices low. One empty chair sat among them, untouched. The commander spoke about bravery, about sacrifice, about the cost of freedom. Jake barely heard it. All he could see was that flash in the sky, the moment everything changed. That night, he lay on his bunk staring at the ceiling, replaying the fight frame by frame, wondering if a different call, a faster warning, could have saved Echo. Guilt mixed with anger until sleep finally took him like a punch. By morning, the squadron was officially short 1 pilot, and Jake was officially still alive. But something inside him had gone missing up there, scattered across the sky with the wreckage of his wingman. The days after felt unreal, like walking through fog that never lifted. Jake flew again because that's what pilots do. You strap in, you take off, you keep moving. But every mission carried Echo's ghost. Every formation felt wrong. Every right-side glance stabbed him with absence. Intelligence briefings confirmed what they suspected. The enemy squadron responsible was still active, bold, hunting aggressively. Command talked caution, escalation control, the bigger picture. Jake nodded, saluted, and followed orders, but inside he was burning. Revenge doesn't announce itself as evil. It shows up wearing the mask of justice. On the next patrol, they crossed paths again. Same corridor, same altitude, same cruel sky. The fight erupted fast, violent, and close. Jake spotted the jet marked by the same tactics, the same signature that matched Echo's killer. His heart slammed. This was it. He maneuvered with deadly patience, herding the enemy into a corner of the sky where there was no clean escape. Missiles were spent. It came down to guns and nerve. The 2 jets spiraled, inches from disaster, metal screaming under stress. Jake lined up the shot, finger tightening on the trigger. For a split second, he hesitated. Not out of mercy, but clarity. He realized this kill wouldn't bring Echo back. It wouldn't quiet the nightmares or fill the empty chair, but it would end a threat. It would protect the next wingman, the next laugh, the next always. Jake fired. The enemy jet broke apart, tumbling into smoke. Silence followed, heavy and final. The radio crackled with confirmation. The fight ended shortly after, both sides disengaging. As Jake headed home, the rage drained out of him, leaving exhaustion in its place. He had gotten his revenge, if that's what it was. But instead of triumph, he felt something closer to gravity, pulling him back to Earth, forcing him to carry what he'd learned. The sky had taken, and the sky had given a hard lesson in return. Back on base, the squadron marked Echo's loss with quiet rituals. A helmet on a rifle, a missing name on the roster. Stories shared in low voices over cheap beer. Jake finally spoke about Echo, about the jokes, the loyalty. The way he flew like the jet was an extension of his will. Saying it out loud hurt, but it also stitched something back together. The commander later pulled Jake aside, not to praise the kill, but to ask how he was holding up. Jake didn't lie. He said he was still angry, still tired, still learning how to carry it. The commander nodded, a look that said he'd been there too. War doesn't just test machines, it tests the stories we tell ourselves about strength. Jake kept flying, but he flew differently now. He checked his wingmen twice as often. He spoke clearer, calmer, knowing how fragile always could be. Each mission was a balance between aggression and restraint, between survival and responsibility. He understood now that revenge, unchecked, could shatter a squadron just as fast as any missile. The sky didn't care why you fought. It only cared how. Over time, the nightmares eased, replaced by a sharper focus when it mattered most. Jake started mentoring younger pilots, passing on lessons written in loss rather than manuals. He never glamorized the fight. He told them the truth, that skill saves lives, but bonds are what make the cost bearable. Echo's name became part of the squadron's language, a reminder to watch each other's six, to speak up, to never assume tomorrow. The war dragged on, as wars always do, but Jake carried a steadier heart into it. Not healed, never that, but grounded. He learned that surviving doesn't mean forgetting, and honoring the fallen isn't about revenge alone. It's about flying in a way that makes their sacrifice count. Months later, a new wingman joined Jake. Young, sharp, eager, with that same knee-tap habit before missions. Jake noticed it immediately and felt a tightness in his chest. He addressed it with a grin, told the kid to cut it out before it wore a hole in the cockpit. They laughed, and the ice broke. In the air, Jake was patient, steady, giving space while staying close. Trust wasn't instant. It had to be built, brick by brick, sortie by sortie. On one mission, alarms screamed again. Missile inbound, chaos unfolding. Jake reacted without thinking, calling maneuvers, deploying countermeasures, pulling his wingmen clear. They made it back alive, jets battered but intact. On the ground, the kid thanked him, voice shaky but grateful. Jake nodded, feeling Echo's presence not as pain this time, but as guidance. The past had sharpened him. He knew now that leadership wasn't about fearlessness. It was about carrying fear and acting anyway. The squadron adapted, learned, survived. Loss had changed them, but it hadn't broken them. Jake sometimes looked up at the sky at dusk, contrails fading into pink and gold, and felt a quiet respect for the place that had taken so much. It wasn't hatred anymore. It was understanding. The sky is honest. It gives no promises and keeps none. The only promises that matter are the ones pilots make to each other, to stay sharp, to stay human, to come home if they can. Jake kept that promise every day, for Echo, for his squadron, and for the ones still waiting their turn to learn what the sky demands. Years later, when the war was just another chapter in a history book for most people, Jake was asked to speak at a squadron gathering. New jets sat on the ramp, sleeker, smarter, but the faces were the same, young, hopeful, nervous. He told them about a wingman named Echo without turning him into a legend or a statistic. He told them about the explosion, the rage, the revenge, and the hollow feeling that followed. He told them that courage isn't about chasing kills. It's about protecting lives, including your own soul. The room was silent, heavy with attention. Jake finished by saying that every pilot carries the sky with them forever, whether they want to or not. You can let it harden you, or you can let it teach you. Afterward, a young pilot asked if it ever gets easier. Jake thought for a moment and said, "It gets clearer." As the sun set outside, he felt at peace with the answer. Echo wasn't gone. He was present in every smart decision, every calm call under pressure, every wingman brought home. The squadron stood stronger because it remembered, not because it forgot. This is the part most war stories skip, the quiet after the noise, where meaning actually lives. Jake never framed the fight as a win or a loss. He framed it as a responsibility passed down. The sky took his wingman, but it gave him a chance to become better than his anger. That lesson echoed through the squadron long after the jets shut down. In the end, revenge was just a spark. What lasted was discipline, brotherhood, and the refusal to waste a sacrifice. The sky remains indifferent, wide and cold, but the people who fly through it don't have to be. They choose, every mission, what kind of legacy they leave behind. Jake chose to leave one built on protection, not destruction, memory, not bitterness. And that choice, more than any kill, is what kept the squadron whole. If this story hits hard, it's because it's real, not just in facts, but in feeling. Somewhere, right now, pilots are strapping in, trusting their wingmen with their lives. Somewhere, a chair will stay empty, and someone will have to decide what to do with the anger that follows. The moral isn't that revenge feels good. It's that unchecked rage can destroy what the enemy couldn't. Strength is found in restraint, in loyalty, in choosing to protect others even when your own heart is cracked. Jake's story reminds us that freedom isn't free, and neither is healing. Both demand discipline, memory, and purpose. If you respect the sacrifices behind these stories, honor them by remembering the people, not just the explosions. And if you want more true, hard-hitting war stories told with respect and truth, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. This is Xtreme USA, where history hits hard, lessons matter, and the sky never lies.